in responsible forestry and agriculture. Sue, your platform focuses on creating jobs in responsible forestry and agriculture. Could you elaborate on the specific policies and initiatives you plan to introduce to achieve this? And how will you ensure that these job creation efforts are both environmentally sustainable and economically beneficial? Additionally, how do you plan to support local farmers and foresters in adapting to these new practices and technologies to enhance productivity and sustainability in a long term?
I can speak better if I'm standing. Wow, that's a lot of good questions. So overall, my first answer is I'm a Republican because I believe in limited government. So the first thing I want to work on with agriculture is lessening the regulations that those poor farmers are having to deal with. Thank you. And one way I hope to achieve that is to have a really heart-to-heart discussion at the top levels of government about why do we have so many environmental agencies at the state level and the federal level, and the regulations have just gotten out of control. I want to really take an evaluation of how many different agencies have to tell this farmer what to do with his own land. I believe that landowners, and particularly farmers and forest owners, I think they're the best people to take care of their lands, and I think they're the most motivated people to take care of their lands. So I'm old enough to remember when we all may have thrown garbage out our car window, or, you know, done something that was not kind to the environment. I'm talking about when the Love Canal caught on fire because it was too polluted. Those days are over, and people have learned how to take better care of the land and the water. We're all pretty smart, and if somebody doesn't know and they do something that's not a good idea, we educate them. I really believe in the goodness of people and their intelligence. So I'm not sure I caught all of your question there.
Okay, how do you plan to support local farmers and foresters in adapting to these new practices and technologies to enhance productivity and sustainability long term?
Okay, thank you. So one of the key natural resources in any land use enterprise, whether it's farming or growing trees, is water. Water is so important to all of us, and our governments seem to keep working on taking away water rights in many different ways, whether it's a nonprofit suing a county who let a couple dig a well. I mean, there are people who really want the water to go all to the government. I disagree with that. I feel strongly that as far as our forests go, we have stopped logging. We have trees that were planted for harvest that were not planted. They're getting way too big, bigger than the space they were allotted when they were planted. Uh-oh, I'm out of time. I missed that yellow sheet. Okay.
You can continue that with, you can finish your answer too on the next question. No problem, Sue. We sure can. So just as a reminder.
And this is on preventing forest fires and increasing revenue for public schools and services. Sue, is it true that only Sue can prevent forest fires? I had to, I'm sorry. Okay, moving on. Preventing forest fires is a critical issue in our region. What comprehensive strategies do you propose to reduce the risk of forest fires, and how will these strategies be implemented efficiently? Also, you aim to increase revenue for public schools and services. Can you outline how your plans for responsible forestry and ag will contribute to this goal?
Thank you. I'm going to finish my last answer, which was about water and farmers. So trees are drinking up a lot of water, and we have way too many trees. This goes to answer the next question. The trees need to be thinned out. There's not enough room for all those trees to grow. So that's the first thing. The Democrats to call it selective harvesting. They don't like to call it logging either. They call it carbon sequestration. So they have new terminology, but they're going to be doing the right things. In 2020, when I ran for this office before, I had the opportunity to debate with the incumbent 8 different times by Zoom. It was during COVID, so we had Zoom debates. And all the other statewide races only got 1 debate. So I got 8 debates with the incumbent who's leaving this office. And I just hammered on her. She was all about hiring more firefighters, getting more airplanes to spew the fire retardant all over the land. And I said, no, 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 no. We need to prevent the fires. Prevention. I hammered on the concept of preventing forest fires. So one of my very simple ideas, which she embraced, ultimately, my ideas ended up in House Bill 1168, and it was passed unanimously the next session in Olympia, unanimously by the House, the Senate, and Governor Inslee signed it. I don't even know of any other bills that were passed unanimously. So I am super proud to have had some influence on that bill. And then the legislature funded $500 million over the next 10 years to implement those ideas. So that's one thing I've done. And all of my competitors, I'm very pleased they've all embraced all my ideas from 2020, and that's great. However, I keep looking forward, and this is the thing I really want to emphasize. I gave this tip to the incumbent, but she didn't do much with it. She reached 0.04% of the people in Washington with information about how to prepare your property, whether it's a home, you know, in the suburbs or a ranch or a forest. I said, teach people how to prepare their property to prevent fires. And she made a little effort on that, but I'm going to take that to town. I am going to spread the word in National Ad Council, in utility bills. I really want the whole state to understand this is not a problem that the Department of Natural Resources can possibly solve without everyone's help.
Last question, it's the same question for both Dale and Sue. You'll have 1 minute to answer, and we all appreciate each of you stepping up to run and accurately represent our majority voice. We want to give you 1 more minute each to be able to communicate to everyone why you should earn their vote.
The incumbent, Steve Hobbs, has now done 2 things that are violating your constitutional rights. The first thing, he's contracted with a foreign intelligence firm called Logically AI to surveil all social media posts, all news media posts. So anytime you comment on social media, on news media about election disinformation, misinformation, and emerging election narratives, he is getting a report about it. Secondly, we just found out that he is currently removing the 30-day residency requirement for Washington State, which is actually on Article 6, Section 1 of Washington State Constitution says you have to have a 30-day residency requirement to vote in the state of Washington. He is trying right now to abolish it. I just had a press release today. I will stand for your guys' constitutional rights. I come from a country that doesn't have the First Amendment. It must be cherished, protected at all costs. I will go to the Secretary of State's office. I will fight for the right only for the citizen vote. and I will ensure that we are protecting our constitutional rights and freedoms in Washington State and in this country.
Well, I am the only candidate in my race for Commissioner of Public Lands who has 30 years of professional, actual working experience in natural resources. I've had a wonderful career. I couldn't have asked for a more fun professional life. I got to study salmon. I grew up at a salmon hatchery, and just up the river here. And I learned about forest management, habitat restoration, salmon harvest. I was salmon harvest manager for a point in my career up on Puget Sound. I worked at Seattle City Light as a senior environmental analyst, and I was in charge of 12 agencies and their permits for the city was building a new hydropower plant. So I have a very broad range of experience, and I'm the one who thinks outside the box, frankly. So thank you very much.